Morning everyone, the yard is a hive of activity. It's a beautiful sunny day. Jack's downstairs sorting out to pip the dog. Melissa has just gone to look for one of those things on wheels so that we can work on this transom a little bit more easily. And the first order of today is to position this transom plate correctly and then get it spot welded in. So this transom plate here that I cut last time, if you remember, it needs to move across that way by about a millimetre or a couple of mil, and because it's so heavy it's just too difficult for me to move on my own. So we're going to position that, spot weld it in, get some tacks along it so it's nice and rigid, and then we can start cutting out the inside of the transom. Like I say, I didn't want to cut it all out in one go in case something flexed and popped and moved, but that's what we're doing now. Great to see the yard back so busy again, people working on their boats. The restrictions travel and what have you have lifted, and the yard looks alive again for the first time in months. It's fantastic, it just gives you a really good feeling.
We need more than hopes and wishes for us to make it through the night. Stormy weather,
so what we're doing, we're stick welding in the new transom plate from the outside, just in enough places to maintain the structural rigidity of the transom, and then we can cut out the inside of the transom here and start refabricating the seats and lazarettes and what have you. But we didn't want to cut out this and start working on the seats until we'd got a solid outer transom. So Melissa's just learning. Yeah, this is Melissa's first ever go with a stick welder, and the reason we're using the stick and not the MIG today is because it's a bit breezy outside. Last time we were here it was completely still, and to be honest we'd probably be all right with the MIG welder today, and certainly when I do the inside I'll probably MIG it. Although that's a question for the proper fabricators out there, is there any reason not to use MIG and stick on the same job? Welding's welding at the end of the day, and it's all metal. But I can't think of a good reason not to use MIG and stick on the same job. We are only tacking this panel in enough places to keep it solid and rigid. We're not fully seaming the whole way along, but yeah, question for the real fabricators of this world. Is there any metallurgical reason not to use MIG and stick on the same job? Goggles on to knock off the dross. Yeah. Push welding gets better penetration, pull welding is technically easier. We're welding from both sides, so it won't make much difference because we're going to get full penetration anyway. So if you pull the weld, you'll get criticised by proper welders, but it's not actually going to make much difference.
I don't like it when it sticks.
No, it's not nice when the rod sticks, is it? It sounds like you're welding. It's making all the right noises. I don't know what it sounds like on camera, but from where I'm sitting, it sounds like welding is happening. So yeah, this is Melissa's first ever go with the welder. Tell a lie, she did have a go in the workshop a little while ago on some fresh steel. Wrote her name in a nice piece of fresh metal. This of course is very different because we're welding nice new metal to old metal, and you've got particles of paint and you've got wind to contend with, and even with an arc welder, even with a stick welder, wind still does make a difference.
We're just cutting out the back of the transom now. It's quite exciting. It's just the inner skin. We've put the outer skin, we've tacked that in place. We've tacked that in place on the outer skin to hold the structure of the back end, and we're just taking the inner skin out.
that with the grinder.
And then
You hold it there.
I've got it there, you go and get on the other. Oh, that's a stairway to heaven.
Stairway to what?
Heaven.
You're not allowed to play that song. Banned. Stairway to Heaven. Banned. It's the band tune. It's banned everywhere.
It feels good to take away the rust.
Yeah.
Standing on the cabin.
So we got the inner transom out now. I've now got to just finish welding in the outer transom so that it's really strong before we cut away anymore.
And I tacked the bit in place.
Yes, Melissa did some substantial welding. Ow! Welding splatter down the inside of my boot. Chuck your trousers over the boots, goodness sake. So as always, metal distorts when you're welding it and you put heat on it. What we're doing here is the transom was cut to shape really nicely and fits really nicely, but there's one piece here has bent just a little bit during the welding. So we're using a piece of timber and a jack to jack it back into position.
Yeah, we haven't got the bottle
We haven't got a
jack.
bottle jack with us, but that'll do. This will be fine. So Melissa's now MIG welding the inside of the transom. First go with the MIG welder, and she's push welding. And again, well, it doesn't matter. We can grind it back and we can keep doing it until there's no pits and no holes in it. Doesn't matter how neat it is to be for your first few welds.
No, it's above the water.
It's above the waterline, and the worst that can happen if you get a pinhole in a weld like this is, well, nothing really. It's only below the waterline you don't want pinholes, but you're not going to sink from a pinhole in a weld above the waterline. But yes, of course, we don't want any, and we'll be going out of our way to make sure there aren't any. As you can see, we've already tacked it in place along the bit that was being problematic and troublesome. So it's just a matter of joining up the dots now. And welding point to point.
I did my first ever MIG weld on the boat, on the transom. Well, my first ever MIG weld in general. I've only started welding today, and it looks like a pile of poo. Rate my weld. Andy's doing the outside. We'll grind it back. I'm sure there's going to be lots of holes in it, but I did it, and I feel quite proud of myself. You alright?
Yeah, look at that for a weld. Don't put your hand on it, for goodness sake.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, that looks prettier than mine.
That ain't leaking. Coffee break.
Chin chin. You find some flat ones you might be able to skim. Did you hear me? If you find a flat one you might be able to skim down there. Wow, that was at least a 7.
Nearly done. The transom's in. I've just we've ground it all back flat and then just gone over any tiny little bits that didn't look absolutely perfect. I've just shot a little piece of little bit of welding wire into each little bit that didn't look absolutely perfect, and now we're just grinding that flat. And again, if there's anything that isn't perfect, we'll keep going, keep firing in a bit of welding wire until it's spot on. And we can't work for much longer today because it's starting to get unsociable to make this amount of noise, because there's more people in the yard now.
Right, I think that's enough for today. We've welded in a large piece across the back of the transom. There's still some spots that need doing, but that's the worst of it. We've welded in, and I did some of it. My first bit of welding. So I'll just show you what we've done. Andy's just tidying up. Jack is getting ready to play hangman, apparently. Let me just, that's better. Yeah, that is the back of the transom. If you remember, there was a big hole here. This is the new bit that's gone in. Obviously these are going to need cutting out next, and the same on that side, although that side's not as bad. And there's some bits down here that are going to need doing. Feels like we've actually achieved something today, which is really nice. There you go. Andy, how are you?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just trying to comb all the rubbish out of my hair.
I was just explaining that that we've welded in a big piece in the back of the transom. There's still a few bits that need to be added in, aren't there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, in the transom itself.
Oh, there'll be some patches further
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
There'll be. Well, for a start, we're going to cut out those deck drains.
Yeah, and the outlets and stuff. So but that's the big bit with the big hole in.
Yeah, so we're going to cut out round the exhaust pipe outlet, the bilge pump outlets, and put some fresh steel in there probably. The deck drains, we're going to change the format of, because we might. The jury's out, but there's a good chance we will, because we're thinking about cutting out the centre section of this transom and putting a door in. The only reason that we've welded this up as a single piece for now is because we need it to maintain the structural rigidity of the hull while we're working on everything else. But it may well be that once we've got everything else set up, we might then cut a transom door, don't know why I'm using my comb, cut a transom door in there
as a step through,
and fabricate one out of fiberglass, which will obviously have a drain straight underneath it, under the door. It'll stop half an inch shy of the deck, of the cockpit sole. But yeah, there's still loads to do, but the bottom line is this transom is now solid and workable, and we can now chop out whatever we like out the cockpit.
Yeah, it feels good, doesn't it, not to have a massive, great big rusty hole in the back end.
Absolutely, yeah.
She looks better from the road now.
Yeah, looks like somebody cares about her.
Yeah.
Which we do.
Yeah. Right. Say goodbye.
Bye.
See you next week.
See you next week, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. See you next time.